This is a video of four in-between friends, in between architecture, religion, philosophy, and drama, exploring humanities as an interdisciplinary subject, both individually and as a group.
Initially, I thought architecture was a purely aesthetic, almost trifling part of humanities. Artistically interesting, beautiful, and culturally relevant, yes, but not much more than that.
Initially, I thought learning about religion would be dry and boring, especially with the religious texts. Not being especially religious myself, I couldn't see how I would be able to form a connection with this topic.
When I heard that we were doing Greek drama, I was all over it. I can read about them, I can write about them, got it, done. But then I heard that we had to perform them, which was a wholly different challenge in itself.
So before humanities, I always thought of myself as an individual with complete control over her own actions and thoughts.
So like I said before, in terms of architecture, I thought that before humanities, it was more or less just something to look at, something aesthetic to fill up our cities, but after Bergoni introduced the idea of architecture reflecting culture, I was surprised to find that I could actually find a lot of those qualities in the buildings of just the city that we live in alone. And this idea of us living in a time of social transition where we have skyscrapers next to Gothic spires and baby boomers next to millennials, and this whole idea of living in a period of time where everything is changing and there's this huge disparity between the new and the old. To see that reflected in the newness next to the oldness of our buildings and our own skyline, I thought was really interesting. Actually had a lot of cool implications about our culture as it stands. So that was interesting for me.
After humanities, I now have been able to see religion for what it truly is, beautiful. I don't have to think about the politics, the personal opinions, all that stuff. What it comes down to is that religion is beautiful, no matter what you are. Now I can really appreciate all that religion has to offer. It doesn't have to involve anything horrible, it just comes down to what you believe in and a higher power. I'm excited to say that now heading off to college, I feel like I'll have the tools and the abilities to find myself religiously. Going on to a Catholic school, who knows where I'll end up. Maybe I'll end up being a Roman Catholic as I was brought up, or maybe I'll find a new religion that really intrigues me. I feel that humanities has really prepared me to find myself religiously and be open to all religions that are out there.
I think there's something about reading these original texts like Lysistrata and Oedipus Rex, which are written like 400 something BC, and by the way are these incredibly rich and complex narratives that after hundreds of years remain surprisingly understandable, and they're like these discussions of fate and gender and empowerment. And there's something about bringing these stories to fruition by writing our own satires and acting them out that sort of allows you to understand something fully and completely, a lot like the Pollock activity, because it includes the self and it takes the passive to the active.
So after having gone through all the humanities coursework, I've definitely become more aware of myself as an individual. And I'm in love with this existentialist idea that we are all individuals capable of determining our own actions and shaping our lives as we see fit and assuming responsibility for our own actions. However, there's also this idea of the institutions such as school or the workforce or social media that are and always will be controlling certain aspects of our lives. However, I think we can reconcile the concept of the individual and institutions controlling the individual by being socially aware and socially conscientious and making decisions that allow us to better navigate the institution and allow us to better play their game while still being able to maintain our own personal identity.
I think this project was appealing to us because it sort of deconstructed the course content in a very organic way, as certain subjects affected the individual. But the whole point of humanities is to study it as a totality of all of its subjects: architecture, religion, philosophy, and art. And in doing so, study our world consciously and comprehensively. And I think that's what we did.